Welcome to the Washington Examiner's annual political trivia show. I'm Tiana Lowe-Doescher, and I'm here today with two of our editors facing off, David Mark and Jim Antle. We're going to begin this trivia by going back to the beginning of 2024. And the conventional wisdom that's been sort of spun by the media is that after this shocking debate by Joe Biden, everyone realized how old he was. But is it borne out in the polling? Before the debate, what percent of Democratic voters thought that Joe Biden was too old to be their party's nominee?
60%?
I will let you take a stab at it.
52%.
Jim gets the point. The best polling I have is 73% from ABC News, pre-debate. Donald Trump announced his 2024 presidential bid the day after the suboptimal Republican midterm elections in 2022. This made his campaign more than 700 days long. Before that, which serious presidential contender ran the longest presidential campaign?
George McGovern in 1972.
George H.W. Bush in 1980?
It is Jimmy Carter, who announced 691 days before the 1976 election.
Right.
After the release of the Her Special Counsel report, we were told by KJP that any video reporting of Biden's apparent infirmities were disinformation. What was the term that she used?
Cheap fakes.
Point to Jim.
Wow.
After the debate, what were the two excuses that Biden's team used to explain his universally loathed performance?
He had a cold and he'd been traveling.
Yes.
Wow.
And he landed from Europe more than 7 days before the debate, so didn't really stick. When Joe Biden immediately endorsed Kamala Harris after announcing that he would withdraw from the campaign, there was one party elder that did not follow his endorsement with a concurrence. Who was it, and why did they abstain?
Well, there were kind of two, but Barack Obama was the one people thought was most conspicuous. You could make an argument, though, that Nancy Pelosi was also pretty late on it, and supposedly they both thought there should be a more open process to determine the nominee.
Name three new concrete policy proposals from Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign. Any three. And there's a reason why this question is hard.
Yeah,
there weren't very many.
That's a toughie.
I'm going to downgrade it to two because this one's hard.
Wow.
I mean, she had those anti-price gouging initiatives, although there have been versions of
grocery
that
price controls
that have been floated by other people.
One.
Let me think what else she might have done. There was something that she was going to do in the tax code for new home buyers.
$25,000 tax credit for select new home buyers. Other potential options included recreational marijuana legalization for her opportunity economy for black men, expanding the child tax credit. But really not much there. Not
much difference with the Biden administration.
Correct. What type of gun did Kamala Harris say that she owned?
A Glock.
Correct. Point David. Although Donald Trump's claim that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio were eating the cats and eating the dogs, that claim was ultimately unfounded. The Washington Examiner's investigation on the ground found that the city was indeed overwhelmed by an influx of 20,000 Haitians. What was at least one primary complaint made by residents that we discovered?
I remember who discovered this. Wasn't it that it made the rents too high and it made housing less available to them?
Yes, the housing crisis is real in Springfield. It not only is a product of the 20,000 migrants, but also poor zoning law. In 20 years from now, the grandkids of rich old white ladies will discover green sweatshirts that say Brat Summer and Kamala is Brat. What exactly is Brat, and who created Brat?
Is that Charlie SCX, if I'm getting that name right?
Yes.
That
Charlie
part I
SCX.
remember.
Yes. Yeah. When was the high water mark of Kamala Harris's approval rating during her campaign, and what precipitated its downfall?
Well, I'm going to say mid-September or so.
Yes. Specifically, the end of the DNC. It was like they saw her speech, and that was it. And then it was just slightly...
Yeah, the vibes started to wear off at that point.
Yeah. As the Washington Examiner has exclusively reported, Kamala Harris entered her campaign at least $20 million in the red. How much money to date do we know her campaign received in total donations and contributions to outside groups?
Wasn't it $1.5 billion?
Close. I'll give you a stab at it.
$1.2 billion.
$1.5 billion, I'll give you the point. It's $2 billion, but it could be more when we get the next round of FEC filings. Okay. According to national exit polling, of the 4 candidates at the top of the 2 tickets, which one ended 2024 with net positive approval rating?
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance. Turns out he wasn't actually weird. He was the only normal one on the ticket. Despite continually promising to never pardon his son, Joe Biden gave Hunter Biden the most sweeping presidential pardon since Ford pardoned Nixon for over an 11-year period. Name at least one potential prosecution that has been blocked by this 11-year categorical pardon.
The Burisma work with Ukraine.
Correct. Yeah. Protecting him from failing to register as a foreign agent,
right.
bribery, all of that. If Donald Trump fails to extend his signature 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, what percentage of American taxpayers will see a tax hike at the end of 2025?
100%. They would all go up in one way, even at the lower bracket, if they're a taxpayer. Not everybody pays taxes.
I guess I should say tax filer, because that's a good loophole in the question, and it means that I am inclined to give you the point, because you pointed out the error of my question.
I was going to say 90%, but with the same caveat that they'd be tax filers.
Yeah.
So you know what?
We can split it.
Yeah, no, you get it. Donald Trump won all of the Texas border counties in 2024, including Starr County, which is 98% Latino, making it the highest concentration of Latino voters in the country. When was the last time a Republican presidential candidate won?
Does that count? That's like an offsides in football. 1892?
Correct.
I read that somewhere.
It's easy to remember because that's also the last time a president was elected to a non-consecutive
That's a
term.
great point.
Thank you so much for joining the Washington Examiner's annual political trivia quiz. For reading more answers and the latest news, go to washingtonexaminer.com, and don't forget to like and subscribe.